Hey, this is Ariel and
John.
And we work at Cyber PR, and our main focus for, well, I've been on board 17 and a half years. You've been on board
Just over a year.
And we want to talk a little bit about something that is very relevant and important, and that is the ROI of social media. This is a conversation that is a giant buzzword throughout the social media industry. Everyone from Fortune 100 companies right down to small business owners are rightly analyzing and talking about all this investment. ROI, for those of you who are not familiar with that salesy and businessy term, means return on investment. How much time are you spending on social media and money, and how much is coming back to you? And that's the big question mark in the sky right now.
Right.
I just got back from a business trip to France where I presented at Meetum, and ROI was all over almost all the panels, all this time. And I just want to kind of talk you through some of the smartest things that I've been researching. I actually have them written down because I want to read them off to you. Social Media Today very recently ran a great piece that said this: intangible social media related revenue is made up of a million little pieces. How do you know exactly how social media influenced a purchasing decision that was made online? How did social media monitoring and triage affect a branding incident? How did that affect sales over time? How does social influence SEO? Frankly, the exact answers are impossible to know. So I think that's a good lead-in for what I think we often talk about here with our clients, and that is, if you look at social media and the investment that you may make into it with your own time, with hiring people, and you extract by writing down the amount of money that you get out of it, you're going to be terrified, and I think really sadly disappointed, because that's not what this is about.
Right. Yeah, social media is a conversation tool, ultimately. It's not a sales driver. It's certainly got its hand in sales, but it's not a direct correlation. You're not going to spend 8 hours of time on social media and then see your sales rise that much. It's really the beginning of the funnel. So you have to start with social media. If you're going to see any revenue from digital, you have to start with social media, and it has to funnel back through to find those loyal fans, to find those loyal customers, and engage with them consistently enough where they're going to continue to buy from you over and over again.
That's true, but I think the other thing also to point out, even before you dive right into social media, you have to have your goals in place.
Right.
And again, I found a statistic while I was doing research for this: 80% of marketers and social media marketers in particular don't have goals. They just have tools. Mm-hmm. And so getting someone who's really smart and knows how to use Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn is wonderful.
Right.
But if you don't have goals, and goals, as we're discussing with this ROI conversation, are not necessarily totally tangible in a financial way.
Yeah.
I mean, I can certainly say that my good use of social media has allowed me to travel the world. I could safely say that your good use of social media got you the job that has landed you sitting right here. So these are effects that can happen.
Right.
Another thing about social media and ROI: start with your mission, not with your social media tactics. Social media is just a tool set. Keep focus on goals for your specific function and collaborate to train others on using social media as needed. That comes from searchenginewatch.com. And I thought that was really important too, because I think we get a lot of frustrated clients who come to us and they say, well, I invested this amount of money and I bought, this is what we hate, right? I bought this amount of fans,
right.
and then they don't upkeep it at all, and they're stunned and worried that there's no return on investment. I think there's two types of costs, right? There's the financial cost, however much you spent for Facebook ads or for someone to train you or whatever it is, and then there's the opportunity cost.
Right.
Do you want to talk a little bit about maybe some examples we've seen with opportunity cost with our clients?
Sure. An opportunity cost could be anything that you could do to further your career that is time spent on social media. So you only have so many hours in a day to be on Facebook or to be on Twitter or to be blogging. And that same time has to be broken up like a little pie graph to writing music, to touring, to recording, to going out to a networking event and meeting either other artists or other people in the industry that you can connect with and create partnerships with. And that's a big opportunity for you. Those same opportunities could exist on social media, and that's why a lot of people do it, so they can build those relationships. But the cost is no doubt there, and you have to take that into consideration, that the time that you're spending on social media, if not done effectively and with a real plan, it's time that could be spent elsewhere too.
That's true. That's true. One more quote, this one from Social Media Today. Many business people mistakenly make the decision to short investments in social media. This is usually a result of comfort, apathy, ignorance, and or a narrowly focused view of the cost and tangible ROI. It's up to us as marketers to show the holistic benefits of social media marketing in a concise, scientific way. If you can do this, you'll finally have unlocked the social media ROI formula. And this article was kind of pointing out that there is no formula.
Right.
That, again, something that happens on social. I remember we had a client who was a Christian artist who hired us over 2 years ago with very little activity and action happening. And she had a pretty aggressive manager that was upset with us, and we didn't get enough views and enough this and enough that, and he was constantly riding us to make it bigger and better. Well, she now has, she's approaching almost 1 million views on the same video that we started working back when it was at 5,000. Mm-hmm. And I talked to him almost a year after our campaign, and he said, you connected us to this wonderful Christian community on Facebook. We got 7,000 likes from it. And I had tortured myself over that campaign because we worked really hard on it, and we weren't seeing lift during the 3 months that she was with us. And then, when you go back and you look a year later, you go, wow, that really did have a result that at the time was not an ROI result. I think if you had asked the manager at that moment, were we worth the investment, he might have said no.
Right.
And then a year later, after it took some time to build up the traction and the fans, and he could trace it back, and this was a smart manager who was actually looking at analytics, he realized that had indeed been an ROI that was traceable and trackable in the form of fans.
Right.
So I think some nice words from around the internet about ROI and how to begin to rethink. Now, that doesn't mean that you should go and spend a lot of money on Facebook ads and waste a lot of money to make fans. However, just when you write it off as something that might not have been the best investment, just wait 6 months.
Right.
Is there anything else you want to add about ROI?
I can't think of anything else.
Okay. We'll sign off. This is Ariel.
This is John.
And this is Sound Advice on ROI.